Welcome to 3-Player Co-op. As always, I'm Sean.
I'm Mark.
And I'm Mike.
This week, Blizzard launched Diablo 3. While the game itself is receiving much praise, its anti-piracy measures are not. In the latest Digital Rights Management, better known as DRM, Blizzard are forcing players to connect to their servers in order to play a single-player game. Unfortunately, Blizzard's servers reached full capacity and many players are unable to log in and play. Ouch. So lads, how the hell are ye? And what do you think of Blizzard's little faux pas?
Well, I think to call it a faux pas is probably an understatement at this point. It's been, what are we talking, over 10 years since the last Diablo game. I know people I work with who started playing 2 again in anticipation. They just couldn't wait. But obviously, the IT guys at Blizzard just didn't do enough stress testing, so they didn't fully anticipate what they were dealing with. As a result, you have hundreds of thousands of disgruntled fans all around the world who can't play their game. The whole problem is the DRM in this case. There's no other way to argue it, I don't think, personally.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, you usually have server issues with certain games, like Battlefield 3 had a few, FIFA has had countless numbers. But the difference is that those are multiplayer games. You don't expect it when you pay 40, 50 euro for a single player game, and then you're greeted by these errors.
I think PC gaming is just complicated enough, and Blizzard are alienating people by making it worse.
Yeah, I think there's certainly an argument that they're going to alienate some fans in doing this. So what I can't get my head around is, this is the company that's famous for World of Warcraft. You can't play the game unless it's online because that's the very nature of an MMO. The question, I suppose, for me is why they chose to go with this DRM model.
I think a few companies have experimented with it, like Ubisoft as well, had the always-on DRM where you had to have an internet connection. And the problem was seen back in February when they had to move their servers. So people who paid for the game, the honest people, weren't able to play the likes of Assassin's Creed on the Mac, another Mac game, The Settler 7, all these kind of games, and all again single-player games. And it doesn't make sense.
What the hell is the problem with an activation key? That's just printing a piece of paper and putting it in the box. I know it's a little more complicated than that, but it would appear that that's the way. I mean, companies are doing it for online passes and such. Why not do it with this?
Problem is everything is piratable. Diablo 3 will be the exact same. It's just a matter of time, really. And companies need to just accept that fact or find a smarter way around it. And this isn't it. Because they're punishing honest people who have been waiting over 10 years. They had more pre-orders than any other PC title on Amazon. And they just weren't ready for it.
I'm no piracy expert, but you'd think that even this type of DRM can be circumnavigated.
I don't know. I'm not a big fan of DRM, okay? I think if you release a product that's good enough that you should be able to stand behind it and kind of assume that people aren't going to pirate it too much, that's completely impractical. I realize that you've got a certain subset who are going to pirate something just because they can. In the case of Diablo, though, like Mark pointed out, this is a game that had record pre-orders on Amazon. The interest in this was through the roof, and they still felt the need to go with this sort of DRM measure. You have to question, at what point does this become worth it whenever they could just go with the activation keys, like Sean mentioned?
Honestly, I think this just suggests that they don't really have their fingers on the pulse. There's been so much backlash about DRM in the last few years. Like Mark mentioned Assassin's Creed and Ubisoft, and I remember Capcom getting it in the neck, as Capcom get it in the neck for everything, for the Final Fight Double Impact on the PS3, and even Ubisoft previously got it for the PC version of Assassin's Creed 2.
Do Blizzard think they're so big that they can get away with this? Is it a case that, Diablo is so popular, we're going to use whatever DRM method we want?
I think it pretty much is. They already know their market is big enough that they don't care about those without internet connections. People with weak internet connections that are fairly unreliable. I mean, Virgin Media, for example, have been harassed recently on Twitter for just unreliable connections. And even people moving house, I mean, they don't have connections set up yet. So all of these people are missing out.
Yeah, like even Forbes magazine said that Blizzard is abusing its position as an industry juggernaut and that gamers should stay angry at them for this.
Okay, so does an action like this make you think, I don't want to support that company?
I was kind of on the fence with Diablo 3, but I'm certainly not getting it now.
I don't agree with anti-piracy measures in general, but I don't think it's enough to put me off a company.
I'm almost certainly going to pick up Diablo 3 because it looks like the kind of game I'm really interested in. It's getting really positive reviews and it's just something I want to try out. You kind of feel, maybe like with Minecraft that we talked about last week, that if you're not part of something like this, you're kind of missing out on something that's really significant. What is an acceptable level of DRM for you?
Activation keys. That's about all I'm willing to put up with.
we've already discussed the fact that the activation keys, they're not really an effective measure because they're really, really easy to get past. So do we have to find the balance between a type of DRM that works for a company and something we're able to put up with?
Yeah, I want to be able to play a game on my own terms. I mean, if I'd bought Diablo 3 and I'd set aside time to play it and I got screwed over because they insisted on me playing online and their servers weren't able for it, I would have been furious.
See, that's the problem. It shouldn't even matter to us what's an acceptable level of DRM, because it shouldn't affect us. We've already bought the game, so it shouldn't harass us at all. And that's the point. It's the pirates who are easily going to get around all these measures. They're the people who should be put off or hassled and harried about these measures, and they're just not. Yeah. So it's the wrong people being targeted.
Thanks for watching, guys. So what do you think of Blizzard's Diablo 3 snafu? Let us know in the comment section below.